I felt the happiest I could possibly feel in life, like perfect happiness. It was like I was out of the field of suffering for the first time as an adult.
I don't have to eat. I have tons of free time in my life all the time. Incredible amounts of abundance have been showing up. And endless energy.
So it's like on all layers, I'm just being cleaned. And it literally does feel as if I've taken a vacuum to every single cell in my body, and I've just vacuumed out all the crap. And it feels incredible.
The truth of the matter is 72 hours came and went, and I didn't have hunger or thirst. And it blew my mind.
Yeah. Real mind fuck. I had to change everything. I had to change everything that didn't resonate in my life. The part where you can physiologically change your matrix, where you actually don't need food anymore, it takes 3-4 days. The part where you have to decondition your mind from thinking that food has something to offer for you energetically, mentally, spiritually, that has been a process. And it's been a process of love, of self-acceptance, radical self-love and self-acceptance.
It happens because we are already complete. We already have everything in our bodies that we need. We are created in perfect balance, in perfect harmony.
To be in pranic way is to be in not separation with everything.
Once you realize that God is not outside of you, God is within you, then you can start to express yourself as God. The only reason we need food is the same reason that in our society we need a God outside of us.
It's like the more that I come in, the more I'm nourished. The more I come in, the more I'm nourished. The more I love you, the more I'm nourished.
Right now, we already broke the standard on what keeps a person healthy. You need this many calories in order to... We broke that already. So right now, this does have a voice, and it does need to be heard. It's here now.
If you know something, if this really does work, this is a solution for so many health issues. It's a solution, and it's convincing you that mind is over matter, and that things here are not as they seem to be.
We, to be very clear, are talking about a physical body. That does not need food, sleep, water, that does not age and does not die. This is what we are talking about. We are not talking about moving into another dimension. Or leaving Earth. Or leaving your body in order to supposedly ascend. The only way to be totally free of the karmic cycle is to free yourself from every limitation that the physical body presents. This is what is so amazing to share, and it's so great that it happens now. Just by going again and again into long periods of fasting and discovering what is already going on out there. It's a best of about a dozen of people of different cultures reporting and telling about their process or already finished state of becoming breatharian. What means we need nothing from outside, literally. And it goes hand in hand with a transformation of reality, manifestation and creation, where everything gets in harmony, in equilibrium balance, within you, and heals inner, heals outer. This is for me the final call for fulfillment once you experienced it, you never want to go back to the old habits and state. I was inspired already 1 year ago when I found this Pranic Generation documentary about people going into a 10-day process where they undergo a huge inner transition, and it already shed light onto what is happening.
When a person becomes a Breatharian, first the 10-day process is an amazing process, but it's the beginning of the journey. It's the beginning of the decision to stay like that for at least a few months, to experience it deeply. So crazy. Imagine you were here with one of your brothers or sisters. That is such a cool experience to do together as a family.
But now, 1 year after opening the eyes, what is going on, it is even more mind-blowing, as we now see the results and the fruits of this really literal immortality process. It is such a lovely journey that we wrote with our lives, and now it comes all together.
Hello YouTube. I want to talk to you guys in this video about this emerging phenomenon called breatharianism. You see these people coming out of the woodwork claiming to not eat, claiming that they don't need to eat, don't need to drink water even in some cases, claiming to not need physical sustenance to survive and thrive.
I wouldn't call myself a breatharian. You can use terms or not. That term can be helpful just to express people like what a lifestyle is or what the possibilities are. My name is Atlantis. I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia, and I now live in Bali. My reality is about getting rid of things in the present moment in your present consciousness that prevent you from being able to be here with unlimited possibility.
So let's take a look at this. If you take someone with a nutritional deficiency, suppose they have low levels of magnesium or low levels of zinc or low B12 or something like that, and if you take this person and you fast them on nothing but water for 21 days or 30 days or even longer than that, what do you think happens? The deficiency actually goes away completely, and the levels of that particular nutrient that they were deficient in before increases. It doesn't get lower, it doesn't get worse. Even though they're not putting in that nutrient to their bodies, those deficiencies disappear. And this happens all the time. You see this repeatedly in cases of people who have done extended fasts. Why does this happen? It happens because we are already complete. We already have everything in our bodies that we need. We are created in perfect balance, in perfect harmony. And we really don't need to be putting in anything extra.
Wow, why I became Breatharian? It's a big question, you know. And one day, Tal was very shy about it, but it came up to me, took me to the side, said, "Ray, I have to tell you something. I haven't been eating in like, I don't know, 2-3 years it was then." I was like, "What?" And he was like, yeah, I just, I drink a little bit of juice and I never really care what I eat, what I drink, and I have all this energy and I sleep less. And he started telling me all the virtues of this. And I was like, okay. And I started following him, not trusting completely. And when I followed him, I went to a festival and we were together for a few days, and he was having all this energy, doesn't sleep, doesn't drink, doesn't eat. Everything is like amazing. So I said, okay, I have to do this, but I wanted to do it for two reasons. An egoistic reason, for myself, for my ego that wants to conquer, that wants to challenge. And altruistically, because I told myself, something, if this really does work, this is a solution for so many health issues. It's a solution, and it's convincing you that mind is over matter, and that things here are not as they seem to be. And with that understanding, it's much bigger. So when I did my process, I already started writing a website and already started writing a book, like the first book, my book, A Year Without Food, that was sold successfully in Amazon. And I just said to myself, something? This is you. I felt my future self go back in time and tell me, Ray, come towards me. This is what you're supposed to do. And everything was like, phew, simple.
So one massive thing that stops us collectively from being able to be here is hunger. And our reliance upon consuming food stops us from being able to, in the morning you wake up and you can't just go out and live your life. You're immediately like, okay, I have to have breakfast, and then 4 hours later I'm going to need to have lunch. Those are actually the concepts that are running your life. And then possibly our bodies are spending most of their time and most of their energy trying to process that.
Thank you very much for giving an agreement for this interview, and I'm very happy to ask you all these questions. So many questions that people have. Before to meet you, I asked all my friends what they would ask to a Breatharian. Many of them was very skeptical.
We are spiritual if we have a physical body. If not, we are not spiritual. So if I can discover myself in many different ways of my life, in natural way also, I can know how is everyone that around me, because there is some spiritual way that create a union between us, and everything what we are making in this planet is for to be together. So, and this apparent interview is nothing really, because what happened behind that is the most important. So that is for our union in some way. Yeah.
Thank you.
What is breatharianism?
Breatharianism is basically going without a food source or a liquid source. It's about not needing something outside of you and realizing that you contain everything you need, and that all forms of energy is just simply energy, and you are energy, so therefore you don't lack energy since that's what you are.
But you see tons of people, you see entire civilizations of people throughout history that are addicted to food and sex, and these are the things that we can go the longest without. It just fascinates me. But my point is that I really do believe that this is possible. As crazy as that might sound to a lot of people, like, we adapt our bodies to some really extreme situations. Like, we humans are so adaptable, it's incredible.
A lot of people describe food as being grounding. To me now, because I don't need food for nourishment, if I eat something, it feels exceptionally non-grounding. The question seems to be, how do you get out of the belief that you need nourishment to live? How do you get out of needing nourishment to live? Because basically the belief is the same thing as the need.
If someone is completely emotionally honest, then all the hunger, all the feelings of desire, all the feelings of lack just completely vanish. And I've experienced, fleeting moments of this myself, where I just feel so full and my breath is still and I feel perfectly alive and sustained just by my own truth, my own expression of my honest feelings. That is something that makes a lot of sense to me. Truth being the number one source of nourishment. That we can all be nourished by pure truth, honesty, which is really the same thing as love. And I think the reason something like a raw food diet or a vegan diet is so much more nourishing and so healing is because it's more true.
My process, there's a lot of people that are like, there is no process. There's nothing that you can do. It's your own process. You have your own intuition. You are the captain of your own ship. And I find that exactly true. There are things that can speed up your own process.
You are known as a breatharian. And what is actually breatharianism for you?
For me, to be in pranic way is to be in not separation with everything. And how you know to be in not separation is a space where doesn't exist the connection, because of course the connection is separation and we are not separate of something. And for me the pranic state is to be in not separation. It's something so beautiful, because when we can feel in not separation, you can see the eyes of everyone and it's like you.
So it's a way to make a very fast connection for you.
Yes, it is. It is.
Why you actually accomplish breatharianism is because you realize you don't lack anything. And by realizing that very deeply, you start to remove all these deep programmings and beliefs that we have that we do lack something, and we won't need an outside source to fill us anymore. When we realize that we're not empty, then we won't need something to fill us.
All they did is change the engine, meaning from an engine that is mostly about food and physical nutrition and less about emotional and prana or chi nutrition, which most people do have, but they're just using it very, very lightly. Like when you're in love or when you're working on a project that keeps you in the present moment, then suddenly that engine grows bigger and you don't feel hungry that much. So they just switch the engines. Now the engine, the primary engine, is the chi. And it's not that hard to activate it. The problem is consistently and persisting with it and changing your life so you will retain this high vibrational energy all the time, meaning that it will nourish you. So opening it up, it takes just like a week and a half in a workshop or in a very neutral environment, and there's guidelines for that. But to retain that, to sustain that, will take much more of your journey, much more of the work that you need to do. It was the tummy calling me. Like all the participants, the only thing I know that participants that come to the process is that they hear a calling. And hear a calling to experience it, Doesn't necessarily mean that you want to live like that. You want to experience it for a while. It will teach you a lot. Well, ever since I became a Breatharian, a lot of things have changed for me. First, I started teaching this type of lifestyle. I did workshops and I became like a guide.
When I first heard about it, I did the 21-day process, which there's a book about it. Jasmine Heen wrote about it 20 years ago. It's 7 days with no food or water, 7 days a third juice to water, and 7 days 50% juice to water.
How were your first 7 days?
It was the most challenging thing I'd ever done in my life.
Because a popular belief system is that you can't go for more than 2 days without water.
Yeah, I had already done a lot of 3-day dry fasts at that time, so I had already gotten rid of that belief system. And I'd done loads and loads of reading and research about people who had done it. So I wasn't scared that I was going to die. It was basically the first 4 days I felt really good. This man would drive me to the ocean every morning and I would get in. And I would feel so exhausted before that. And as long as I got in the ocean every day, I felt like I was able to go to class. After drinking water, I felt the happiest I could possibly feel in life, like perfect happiness. It was like I was out of the field of suffering for the first time as an adult. It was like I felt perfect in my body, like everything worked. It opened my eyes. I was like, oh my God, we don't need this.
Hey guys, this is my video update of the pranic initiation process, which I underwent 8 months ago with Rey Maor in Vilcabamba, Ecuador. A lot of people have been asking me to shoot this update to give you an update of how this thing has been treating me, what's been going on in my life. So my life has changed in ways that I cannot recognize my old past self. It's been a wild journey. I can't begin to tell you all the nuances of everything that has happened over the past 8-9 months, but I can tell you this: life is freaking incredible. Things have changed so much. Everything that I believed about reality, about life, is transformed. Everything I believed in the past about life was wrong. And that's just a lot, because I felt like I had a lot of things figured out.
People will ask me, so where do you get your nutrients? And I was always like, well, I'm perfect. I don't need nutrients. Like, I am energy. However, when I look at the way that I live my life, everything in my life is nourishing. Everything.
The human being have the capacity for simplify many different things. Mm-hmm. And for example, when we are speaking about food, in the moment we are speaking about nutrition, about vitamin, about many different things. So in some way, in some part of my mind, these words and these intention words disappear. Or in some way it's like I can discriminate that. But you know, discriminate is not something bad. Nothing is better or not. When you have the capacity for discriminate something, it's because really you integrate everything. When you have the possibility for integrate everything, you can know what is better for you. And when you choose something, it's because you are discriminate a lot of many different things. So I discriminate now what is the food, the nutrition, the vitamin. So if doesn't exist that for me, the question have not a space within us, you know?
And this is just making a lot of sense to me. And like on this YouTube channel, I'm very raw food centric. Like, as much as I love the raw food diet, and I definitely advocate the raw food diet, I think it's such a reasonable thing for anyone to do to heal the body. But at the same time, I feel like for me personally, it's like a transitional tool. It's like a vehicle. It's kind of like a ladder to get to these higher levels of health where you really don't need so much. And to me, that's just a beautiful thing, to not need something, to be able to say that, yeah, that served me at one point, but now I am free of that, and I don't really need that so much in my life anymore. I just find that so beautiful.
What does that mean? Gosh. Well, as far as the food part, I haven't needed to eat for 8 or 9 months now. It's pretty amazing. Have I eaten? Yeah, I've eaten a few things here and there, but it's completely different than what you may imagine. Imagine walking around not having to eat, but being able to enjoy taste. And then things just moving through your body as if they didn't even register or have an effect on your overall energy. But for example, right now I'm on a dry fast. I'm probably going to be on a dry fast for 36 to 48 hours, and I feel amazing. I can sometimes, if I choose, basically go through a day and not eat anything except a berry and a glass of lemonade, and I feel amazing. I have constant energy, non-stop. There's a clarity in my heart and my mind about this reality that wasn't there before.
So you consider that you are not really eating anything, even if it's not a physical thing?
Yeah, so the breatharian state, when you are in breatharian state, for consequence of many different things, doesn't need food and doesn't need water or liquid. To be in breatharian state is to be in dry days. Dry days is when you are not eating and where you are not drinking. But that is consequence, and that is a work that it's coming in many different lives, in my long life. For this reason, in this time, it is not something that I was looking for make. It was coming in a natural way in my life since my 4 years old. So for this reason, I'm living in this way, in the form more simple and with a lot of clarity.
Absolutely adorable. But this video really is about pranism, and you have created your first festival, put together this first festival here in San Francisco in August. Maybe this will happen again, we don't know yet, but you have created this center, you have this wellness center here, you're a doctor, you studied Chinese medicine, I guess, and acupuncture, and I really want to speak about pranism because I've been going around the world interviewing those people about this topic, and I'm getting it, I'm starting to understand it and be even interested by this topic. You're a Harvard graduate, so this is from Harvard to pranism. This seems to be a big yeah.
And I'm sure all of you guys agree that the powerful changes that Lilu has activated within all of our lives, and I'm so happy to have this opportunity to share in that energy with you guys. Did a applied math degree, and I was a competitive athlete for many years, and in some ways a very 3D oriented person. And it was during Chinese medicine school in Qigong class that I had my first, to my shock and surprise, my very first awakening experience where suddenly I bursted into trillions of pieces of love and light. And I had no reference point for what was happening. And when I finally came back into the physical dimension, I didn't know what just happened to me. I just felt that was so blissful that I knew that was my natural state. But how do you reconcile that with the physical dimension of life when I had deadlines and bills to pay? We have pressures of life and work and mortgages and the drama of our relationships and so on. Maybe many of us different pressures from our family dynamics. How do you reconcile that heaven with the earth?
Yeah.
Well, it turned me into a seeker. I didn't have the answers. I had a lot of questions. Some people might say that that's an awakening or enlightenment experience. For me, it just made me kind of confused about life. I knew that was possible, but I also knew that maybe there was a way that we could live in that state, but it be in the physical dimension also.
It's going to come, especially in the beginning, with big changes. But big changes in the frequency of the human body actually bring big changes in the frequency of the spiritual body and the emotional body as well. So whatever it is that a person thought is going to learn over a course of 10 years, suddenly is summarized and compressed into something like 6 months. So the karma changes, the person changes, and this is one of the most difficult things that I think that a lot of guys are kind of like hiding, because afterwards the success rates, they fluctuate. It really depends on the person. A lot of people in the first month or 2 months after the physical struggle is finished or is behind them and they feel 100% themselves, which usually takes just like a week or two, then they go into the emotional struggle, which is much more difficult. And after a month or 2 months, some people will go back to it normally. So they've learned everything that they want to learn from the experience itself. They understand it's like riding a bicycle. You can always go back to the same place. But after that, some people do go back to the way they ate before, and some people will continue with it, and something has changed dramatically in their sensation, in their body. Doesn't matter if they eat or don't eat. The relationship with food, with physical and energetic nourishment and their higher self has changed forever.
Once you realize that God is not outside of you, God is within you, then you can start to express yourself as God. The only reason we need food is the same reason that in our society we need a God outside of us.
So we also go to a source of love outside of ourselves. And really, food is this for us also. This is another reason that our society is so addicted to food.
Yeah, for me, really, to be in Breatharian state is to be in love with everything. But love, for me, is where we are putting our attention, where we are putting all our energy. So the Breatharian state for me is this type of love, because everything what I'm making is where I'm putting my energy, and all my attention is there, and I'm so happy in many different situations all the time, because I'm in love and because that is part of my nutrition.
So it's, to me, my path is about like more and more presence in my body, an ever increasing intimate universe. So greater connections, more tenderness, more vulnerability, more intimacy all the time. And basically that is my nourishment. It's like the more that I come in, the more I'm nourished. The more I come in, the more I'm nourished. The more I love you, the more I'm nourished. I can't pretend to say how it works for everybody. It seems like I'm such a mystery to myself that you're beyond a mystery to me. These things feel true to me, and when I say them to other people, it seems like if anything is possible for me, it seems like anything is possible for you. But it's because I wanted this. So I'm creating this because this resonated for me. So in your path, it seems like the equivalent isn't following my path. The equivalent is finding what your path is.
So when the ego is reduced, it's really easy to do those things. But it's much deeper than that. I think that ever since I'm a Breatharian, I've been meeting people with a higher vibration because I am emanating this vibration outside to the universe. So I'm beginning to meet more and more people that are equivalent in the same frequency, that want to change the universe, that want to change the planet for the better, that feel good with themselves and have a higher acceptance of themselves. It's about self-love and non-judgment. Self-love doesn't mean that it's megalomaniac. It's not like I'm the best in the world. It's acceptance of who you are. And when you accept who you are for the better and for the worse, then you see that everything is accepting, you're even accepting the people that are outside of you. And when you're loving yourself, you're loving them. And when you're not judging them, you're not judging yourself.
Yeah, when we give into these cravings of eating food out of emotions, one of the big emotions that we eat it out of is feeling unworthy. And we try to feel worthy by eating foods that are tastier. Just like we try to feel worthy by being around certain people that seem cooler. You know, whatever we have to do to make ourselves feel more worthy, we'll do it. But that's ultimately what somebody would need to accomplish to become breatharian. They would have to realize their worth. They would have to realize that they contain everything that they need, that they don't lack anything.
So, you said that it happened to you that you became a breatharian. So it was not a decision, okay, I want to become a breatharian and I will go for this goal and I will reach this goal. It just happened to you.
Yes.
You discovered yourself being a breatharian, right?
Breatharian is not what you want. Breatharianism is in some way a gift of the universe. In my 4 years old appears again this sensation in a body in this life. But after that, of course, I was eating and drinking, and sometimes not, and sometimes yes. But since 10 years ago, this sensation, it was opening in different way. And in this last time, I was many different things together. I was working a lot. Was many different concerts because I was violinist. I have my student. I was sharing class in different conservatory of Buenos Aires. And was a lot of stress, and I have not time for rest, for to be quiet, a lot of nervous. And in some way, all this pressure take me and create something very different, new in me. Until my 3 years old, I was autist.
And what does everyone say? Everyone says to go within. And so that is where the answer really lies to everything, and including these negative needs such as having to eat. The reason we eat is that is another sign that we're going outside of ourselves and not going within enough.
And you know, when you are autist, is like you can hear what happened outside. We can see, we can communicate, we cannot speak with nobody, with your mother, with your brother, with your sister, with you are like in a space in this way. But when you go out of this space, you take a lot of information in the moment because your body needs that suddenly. It's like in some moment you can remember all the history or memories of your past life, but when you can remember that, disappear knowledge, but appear wisdom. And that is overall what has happened since 10 years ago in my life. With this pressure of the society, with my work and many different things. And this pressure created me again like autism. And I was so close.
Was it February 2012? I met Akai and Camilla. After seeing them on the internet, I was able to experience for direct and in person the 8-day process of Akai.
And you can check, I've interviewed them also on Skype, so you can look at that little video. If you search their name and my name, you'll find it on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've done a lot of other videos.
Yeah, so I discovered that Akai was offering an 8-day process, an 8-day retreat where you experience powerful breathwork techniques, and there was a recommended template of juicing and fasting. I had no interest whatsoever in not eating, but I was really deeply interested. I had been studying Qigong for years at that point, and yoga and pranayama and different healing modalities, and I had started synthesizing all my favorite wellness tools to share with my community also as a Chinese doctor and leading workshops and retreats. So I just thought this is another really potent piece that I need to integrate into my toolkit that was ever growing at this point. So it was just this divine gift. I ended up doing the 8-day retreat in person with Akai, and but I will.
Even dangerous for some.
Yeah, because I have a medical training that says if you don't drink water for 3 or 4 days, you could die. That's the limit that I was told and I was taught and I believed in. But to my surprise, I just took it one moment at a time. I did the breathing sessions, and they were profoundly beautiful and healing. And in that state, I did notice, first of all, I'm an athlete. I do a lot of training, and I was competitive athlete at university. I was a competitive triathlete for many years, and I was shocked at how profoundly energized and juicy and kind of like fortified I felt by the breathing sessions.
Even here, that's your experience, but that doesn't mean, you really have to do your homework before getting into this.
Yeah. So to my surprise, as I was experiencing these breathing sessions, I noticed that I didn't have hunger or thirst. And so I thought, okay, I just take it one moment at a time. I'm not hungry or thirsty, so I don't eat or drink right now, but maybe if I go another day, I'm going to get really thirsty. And and of course, I love my body. I'm devoted my life to holistic health, and I'm going to do whatever it is to keep it healthy. But the truth of the matter is 72 hours came and went, and I didn't have hunger or thirst. And it blew my mind. Yeah, so many dimensions to that, but most of all that I was told something was impossible, and here I was proving to myself with my own direct experience that that's not true. That the medical textbooks lied to us about what is possible for the human physiology.
So we need to learn to go within, and the more we go within, the more we won't need to go outside of ourselves. That's why everyone in the New Age now is all speaking about going within. And when you really master that, I believe, and we believe, when you really master that, you will not need outside sources as much, the more you master that. And that includes physical sources. And that does take a bit more mastery, obviously. It's different not needing, emotional comfort. That's not as hard to overcome. Not needing physical, nourishment is a bit harder. That's, more advanced, because your mind would have to advance much more than, if you were to just stop giving into wanting to be emotionally comforted by someone.
When you're becoming a Breatharian, you're more self-aware. First, all your senses are a little bit more sharp. The second thing that happens is that you understand how much control your thoughts have over your body, because you've actually created a different system. You've opened an ancient engine that really knows how to live more from energy than from regular food. So you understand, wait a second, I don't have to be sick. Why do I have to be sick? And you understand that as a Breatharian, because your body is completely clean of toxins all the time, you are going to live much longer without being sick.
For this reason, with this oppression of the society for the world and many different things, I was taking the decision for go to live in the mountain. In this time already, I was only drinking juices and tea and water. I was not consume solid food. So I was 1 year living in the mountain, in a place in Córdoba, Capilla del Monte. This place is so beautiful place. And in the beginning I was drinking many different type of fruit juice, many different mix, but after some months the body started to tell me, Victor, not more sugar, because the fruit juices have a lot of sugars. And I started to drink vegetable juices after a couple of months after the fruit juice. And for a couple of months I was with these vegetable juices. It was more earth sensation. And after body tell me, not more earth in your juices, in your liquids. And I started to drink only tea. For a lot of months I was drinking many different type of tea. And I was taking, different herbs of the mountain, and it was making in the hot water for make tea, and it was a very nice experience for me. And after that the body told me not more taste, and in this way, so I was drinking only water for the last 2 months of this past years, 10 years ago, After water, the body told me, the air is for you. And I stop with the water, and when I start to have interaction with the air, communication with the air, I was feeling that air is not only air, if not, of course, overall is water. And when I'm breathing, it's not only air, if not, it's a lot of water in the same time. So that is part of my communication with the universe, or the universe wants to communicate with myself in this way. Yeah.
Thank you.
Doctors and science, it was making me many different tests, and was a lot of surprise for the doctors and science.
So it's all about realizing that, like we said, that you are everything, that you are connected to everything, and you are connected to everyone. Part of the reason that we feel that we lack something is because of this illusion of separation that we experience, where we believe I am my body and I am cut off from everyone else in their body and everything else around me. We don't see the connection of energy from us to everything else around us. But right now in the New Age, everyone knows that we're all one. They know this consciously. But if you really know that consciously, then that means you're one with the chicken. Your energy is one with the chicken's energy. You're connected. So does it really make sense that you would need to take the chicken's energy into yourself if it's the same energy as yours in a sense? If you're connected to it, if you're already connected to it, why would you need to pull it in? The only reason we create this illusion of having to pull it in is because we believe in an illusion, and the illusion is separation. So it's all about realizing that we do not lack anything, but also anyone.
Okay, my name is Elitom El-Amin, and I've been on a breatharian path now for 18 years. It is a process, so don't say, he didn't eat for 18 years. No, there's different stages and degrees when you learn, when you come more into this knowledge, because of course you'll be bad on with your mind. But when I grew up in an average American household, and the standard was 3 meals a day. Eat a healthy breakfast, lunch, and make sure you eat dinner. So I understand. So of course, growing up with that type of mindset, when I became into adulthood and I'm raising my own family, I made sure to get the extra freezer, make sure it always had a food in the refrigerator, cooking the eggs, the grits, and the bacon in the morning. In other words, I finally arrived. Really felt good about myself. Then I started to educate myself more about different foods. I went into live and raw foods. I got up to about 80% raw, which really felt good, dealing with the enzymes within the food. When we talked about electricity, more electricity within the food, it made my energy increase. But then I also learned about more meditations, and my main one is the microcosmic orbit, opening up the center channels within the body. When I start getting into energy work, that really changed the ball game, combined with food, learning, and I was really wanted to learn all types of things. I learned Tai Chi, I learned yoga, just to explore to see where I'm at. So I learned all these different things, dealing with energy work. I also understand the importance of having a good energetic diet. And then I started learning more about fasting. So I fast once a week. That was in my lifestyle. So when I came into the breatharian knowledge, you know, this one young girl one day had a book and say, do you know there's breatharians, people that can't eat? I said, no way. But for me, I said, and in a way, I can see that because I was already on a bigger holistic lifestyle and wanted to grow more. Most people would stagnate them because they're at a denser frequency, and they probably really never took on the challenge to heal themselves before. Because even when I told you I was gaining all that weight when I was eating meat, my body really felt bad. I knew I healed myself due to my change of lifestyle. So I knew the power of a change of a lifestyle, bringing in another frequency in your life, what would it do?
And this really brings us to the process of becoming breatharian and going without food and going without liquids, because like Wolf was saying, we have all these things that we feel that we lack. And all of these feelings, these are beliefs that we have. We have all these different beliefs or thought forms within us and around us that are telling us why we lack something when we don't.
So these practices really isn't a practice. It's a lifestyle. It's a cycle you're getting into. It's a process. It actually radically changed my life completely. Not only I'm not on no medication or anything like this. I'm doing things I never thought I'd do, long distance bike trips, traveling around the world, climbing mountains. I even bought a cave up on a mountain. I could do that now because I'm breatharian. I don't need a refrigerator. You understand? You got this beautiful view. It radically changes your life. And when you deal with nature, a lot of people are so closed, trapped in the illusion of matter. How would you do this? How would you do that? But you are nature. You should be able to explore the world, be in the nature. And nature will sustain you because as we talk about breatharian being perfection, perfection being immortality, you are also in a perfect environment. One of my greatest sayings is, the universe is user-friendly, and it will take care of you. And just to be off the energy when you don't need to eat, you don't need to drink. And for me, this has been awesome, an awesome experience that I will promote to anybody to get on this path. And now I'm in the adult stages where I'm actually food-free and drink-free. Don't need both of them. You are in harmony with the forces. You'll get a lot more strength on how your coordination with nature is, and you're one with nature. Again, I've been on this experience for 16 years. Don't need no food, no drink, and it feels awesome. Even drink get to bothering you after a while, so you even will fade off of that. And that's what I went through. This is awesome. Thank you.
I don't know if you can see this happiness in my eyes. All right, it's there a lot. Pretty much 99% of the time. That's because, like I said in my earlier videos, there's just something that changes so drastically when inside of you, you know that you don't need anything. You don't need anything, and therefore you can have everything and be everything. Your mindset completely changes. Some deep trauma about survival just slowly moves out. It hasn't been easy though. It hasn't been easy. This process that started in a 10-day initiation in Ecuador was just the beginning. And this is what Ray says in the initiation. That's just the beginning. It opens up a portal for you. It's up to you whether you want to walk through it. I chose to walk through it day in, day out. And what I learned is that this has nothing to do about eating or not eating. The part where you can physiologically change your matrix, where you actually don't need food anymore, it takes 3-4 days. The part where you have to decondition your mind from thinking that food has something to offer for you energetically, mentally, spiritually, that has been a process. And it's been a process of love, of self-acceptance, radical self-love and self-acceptance.
Hi friends, I am here to do a video update. I'm in Kauai, the island of Kauai at the moment, and I am on day 10 of an 11-day dry fast, and I wanted to give an update about some of the additional benefits of dry fasting that I didn't get to talk about in previous videos, because this dry fast has been a very, very powerful, transformative healing experience for me, and I feel like I've really broken through a lot of barriers. And that is that starting about on day 8 of this dry fast, my kidneys started to filter a lot of sediment and lymph coming out with my urine. And pretty much every single time I've urinated in the past couple days, which is still several times a day despite the fact that I've been dry fasting for so long, every time there's like this thick layer of sediment in my urine, and it's like I feel like I'm filtering out all this acidosis from my body. And the reason why I wanted to mention that is because of the profound effect that it's having on my on myself mentally, emotionally, and physically. I feel like there was like an energy blockage before, and I feel like it's just opened up, and it's just clearing out all this stuff that I've been holding on to, and all this just stuff that I want to get rid of. And it sounds kind of wild, but I can literally feel the difference between about a week ago and now in the amount of energy that's flowing through my body. Again, it feels like there was like this energetic blockage that was removed, and it feels like, all of my chakras are being aligned in a way. I'm getting rid of a lot of sinus issues and a lot of mucus as well. So it's like on all layers I'm just being cleaned, and it literally does feel as if I've taken a vacuum to every single cell in my body, and I've just vacuumed out all of the crap, and it feels incredible. And so that's why I wanted to mention that. Let's see what else. During this dry fast, I've been exercising every single day, multiple times. I have been doing, jogging. I've been doing a lot of hiking. I've been doing a lot of swimming in the ocean, and just all of this. I have all this energy that I just really enjoy moving my body, and it feels really good. Well, actually, it's two things. Like, there'll be times when I feel really, really energetic and I have to move. I can't sit still. And other times where I'll feel really drained and just groggy, and I'll have to take it really slow. But this is all a part of the healing process. I also did a Bikram hot yoga class the other day, and I think it was also the day before I started filtering all this stuff throughout my kidney. And it was really funny because during the class, pretty much everyone around me was just like drenched and like sweating bullets. And the entire time I was dry to the touch. my body was like, oh, we're not giving up any water. Forget that. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And I think it was the day after that my kidneys started filtering all this extra sediment from it.
In the universe doesn't exist the negative or the positive. So in this body appear this sensation overall when we are cover up emotions. So in some way I have emotion, but I don't need to cover up the emotion. So in this way it's so easy. Before really I saw my eyes, my internal eyes. So in some way if you have a not separation with yourself, there is not something about what you can be afraid,
Animals on Earth are reflections of us, and that's why in nature you can clearly see the lion is going after the gazelle because the lion feels like if he doesn't, he's gonna lose. His life is going to be lost if he doesn't take another's. So the lion actually projects its fear of loss onto the gazelle, and that's why the gazelle runs for its life. He's gonna feel like if he doesn't make another lose their life, he's gonna lose his. And that's what this whole game on Earth is about. It's about realizing that you don't lack, and then you won't create lack or the illusion of lack within another, because remember, we're not our bodies, so this is really just all a game. It's all about losing. It's a game about losing and realizing, you don't lose, but if you don't realize that, then you're going to end up creating this illusion of constantly taking something from outside of you to kind of fill you. So animals are just reflecting this fear of loss that we have in every area of our life. It doesn't just have to do with food. That's what all negativity is about. It's about fear of loss. It's about believing in less. And that's why we have, a fear of having less money, a fear of having less friends. It's all about a fear. And what is fear? It's a belief in less. It's a belief in lack. Part of the reason why we believe death is real is because we believe we're our bodies. And when you look around you and you see people dying, you automatically associate them with their bodies dying. And so that's the problem, is that we are too attached to the idea that I am my form, and when my form appears like it's having less, I'm having less, and so I need to take another's form to keep my form up to par.
There's one specific breathing session that Akai shares that is for reprogramming uncomfortable memories that we hold in our physiology, in our neurocellular network. And there was this particular session in the middle of those dry fasting days, and I was blowing my own mind, no food, no water, and just feeling great. And suddenly we're doing this breathing session and this memory pops up of my childhood that was very uncomfortable. So people say all kinds of things that they don't mean when they're angry. But as a 9-year-old child, I took that into my cells and that became my belief. And in that moment, I relived that memory and all this hunger pangs came up. All of a sudden, 1 moment ago, I was not hungry. The next moment, I remember that memory and it was so hungry, insatiable. Like I could eat a whole grocery stores of potato chips. But I was under a tree, breathing with beautiful Akai, who's guiding me and saying, and now just breathe. And I won't go into all the specific details of the breathing sessions. It was a precise sequence that he guides you through with the breathing and the visualization technique, and ultimately dissolving that memory and replacing that with a happy memory. And reframing it. That's how I experienced it. I experienced the love that was really underneath that experience. I experienced that my dad, in the heat of the moment, he just wanted me to be safe. And he said whatever he could so I didn't start running down the streets. you know, and my mother was there to keep me safe. And I realized that my grandpa was never going to be homeless or starving to death. And all these things came to me, and that became my new cellular memory of the love that was underneath that supposedly traumatic moment. I could go quite a few days without even a drop of water and feel great. And so I don't recommend people just randomly try this at home, but it was something that planted a seed of possibilities for me. Like, what else do I not know about my own physiology? You know, if I can create a really loving, supportive environment to explore those edges of possibilities, it really was a profoundly empowering experience for me.
Yeah, I just wanted to share those benefits that I feel like I've just gotten my vitality back. That's really what it feels like. Like when I'm dry fasting, I just feel so good. Except for the times when I feel groggy. Most of the time, I feel really good, and I just want to go out and do things. And it literally feels like you're just gaining your vitality and your zest for life back. And it's very reassuring to know that you have the power to heal yourself within you.
How do you feel being in the big city?
Always I was living next to the river, and like now also, and I enjoy a lot in this way. The sound of the water for me is so important. But for me it's in some way exactly the same to be in the city or to be here. But I prefer the countryside, the forest, the mountain, the river. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
What inspired me most is the story of Victor Troviano. It is really worth watching some more videos of him. He had several severe accidents where he fell about 200 meters and all his bones were completely smashed and broken. And the doctors said he would never be able to walk again. And he was in the hospital, not eating, not drinking, got a corset for stabilizing his body, and after some weeks he completely healed. And he also regrew his third teeth. It is absolutely stunning. And of course clear, why should we suffer? Why should we ever be sick? Why should we not be able to heal ourselves? It is all within us. As he said, he has a cellular regeneration program that is all the time active in him. And he doesn't need to meditate. He is the living meditation. Also this state of Babaji that he shares with humanity. Silence within the silence.
The consequence that I am receiving from the cosmos, I call to that Babaji. Because for me, Babaji is the silence where I can make my music, or is the darkness where I can reflect and project my light. God have many different names, according everyone, according who, you know. For me, this unique God that exists for everyone is Babaji. It's very simple.
Enseguida, Víctor comparte su fascinante historia que los lleva al estado Babaji.
Silence is always next to us. And when we need to be strong, when we need to be in peace, when we need to be with inspiration, you know, we need to come to the silence.
And it is also a hint about a state of being where you are so happy with you alone. I can feel so much into this. This is what I lived the last years, really background and so fulfilled and happy. And it is also hinting toward sides of our personality that everyone has. And this artist consciousness, we can connect to this. And I feel it is a evolutionary step for humanity if we tap into this kind of being whole within your own world. What our body takes from food is the color. Realize that when you eat something, afterwards when it comes out it's brown. It has taken the color, the frequency. And when you activate, this is also what happens to the people that stop eating for a long time. It activates body-own DMT. And this feeds you through, because it is all spectrum, all colors of light. And this is what really should be mentioned as the main nutrition when you go on Breatharian is DMT. It is body's own automatically produced. The clearer you get, it is in meditation, it is your body will do it when you go to the limits. And this will bring you a lot of clarity and a lot of, you will not need much outer sources anymore. And this is the way of our evolution. And this video is part of a bigger work of my life that is already finished. It's called LucidDream, Symphony of Global Awakening, Handbook of a Fairy. And you find it in the internet as free ebook, also as audiobook and movies. And it's transporting the message of humanity has to know about DMT and Salvia Divinorum. In comparison with science and spirituality, all questions are answered. It is what I learned, and my job was to connect all the dots of all human knowledge together. I was trained through ayahuasca. This is where all the understanding and the connections came from. My life path was to first study physics and connecting then with all kind of languages that I learned, all the patterns, and all things melt together as a big awakening. And I'm so great, it is growing outside, and we also can trigger it body's own. This is also what will be in the third part, how to produce natural DMT. It is only 3 days in darkness, complete darkness, and the body will produce huge amount of 5-MeO-DMT and DMT, what is literally setting you out of time and space, and you get to realize, whoa, I really never need again. And you see how every thought is projected in material form, and you get a deep insight of really we are short before a huge shift for global consciousness, as we are all connected. It is such a lovely journey that we wrote with our lives, and now it comes all together.
I've been monitoring Breatharians or Pranic people since year and a half ago, and I noticed that some pranic people are able to gain weight while meditating on the scale.
But I felt like I want to experience more about this certain subject. And I thought this is a good place to go. Because I don't even have to integrate myself. I'm already just being here. That gets the job done.
Mi chiamo Ticon. Buongiorno a tutti.
I am here from the beginning with my family.
This is for public, actually. It's for people who just heard about it, and just can come here to have some information. So people don't come here to do a process. We have some raw food, vegan food, vegetarian food for people to enjoy, because they need to keep their level of energy. And it's a place to take information. Yeah, 10 days of information. We don't know how many days it will last in next year. Probably we won't go back because there's more and more people who want to talk, because there are more and more Breatharian blooming flower in the world.
außen sind wir Licht. Inner and outer we are light. Da 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 da.